Hello there, I am Jim Elizondo from Real World Ranching, where our goal is to help you achieve maximum profitability and productivity while improving your land as quickly as possible. Today, I am going to teach about why our daily gain test or performance test wrong. Have you ever heard of selecting bulls that excel in daily weight gain, winning weight, yearling weight, etc.? These are called performance tests and have some problems in their design and also when they measure an animal. We almost always select the bulls that have gained the most on a performance or daily gain test. Why don't we select those that gain less per day? Well, because we want the best. But that means that the breeder, he needs to make a decision to choose his next bull or ram or billy goat. So how do we do that? I want to tell you that we need to remember that the bull, ram, or billy goat that we select will determine the genetics in our herd or flock after several generations. This means that it is very important to select males that give daughters that can grow well under low inputs and be productive at a high to very high stocking rate, as this is what makes money and helps improve our land faster by applying the total grazing program. So, according to how you select the bulls, is what you're going to get in his daughters. First generation, the bull will determine 50% of the genetics of the daughters. Second generation, your guidelines for you to select a bull will determine 75% of the genetics of your female herd, and over time, 100%. So this is very important. If you know of someone or know someone who could use this information, please share the link of this podcast. Okay, let's go back to what actually happens in the daily gain test, where the animal is competing against others in a performance test. Let's suppose you measure the food consumed by all the animals in the test individually. Then you know how much energy each animal consumed. And as we already know, they also measure daily gains. That means they weight them periodically. Then, after a given period, they select the animal that had the largest daily gain as the winner, the best one. Sometimes they also take into account the differences in size of the individual animals so that they compete on equal terms. Well, this is all very good, except for a huge detail. They do not take into account the energy content per pound of gain in the animal. Huge mistake that makes this test wrong. Why? Let me explain step by step. We know that fatty meat requires much more energy to form than lean meat. Why? Fat contains less water than lean meat. Furthermore, fatty meat requires 2 to 3 times more energy to form than lean meat, bone, and water from an animal that would normally be best under this type of bias test. That's why on feedlots or when you're finishing on pasture, it takes longer to form, to finish the fat in the animal's body. Now let's analyze what the daughters of the bulls or males we choose need in order to be profitable under low inputs in a real life situation and at high to very high stocking rates. Remember, stocking rates determine profitability on a ranch or farm. Well, these females, they require the following. Number 1, early sexual maturity. 2, early fattening, especially marbling, to be able to cycle and to have the optimum function of the immune system and to have energy reserves to be able to go through a drought, cold period, illness, etc. 3, good hormone balance and high relative intake. 4, good inherited body condition. That means they are low maintenance. 5. Docility and resistance to parasites and diseases. 6. Good meat-to-bone ratio. If you are a student of my Total Grazing program or my course on adapted genetics and selection guidelines, you know this, and you already understand it. If you haven't taken these courses yet, I suggest you take them to have success in your own land. Well, here we are seeing that depending on the male we choose, he will transmit his characteristics to his daughters, right? Will the animal that is the best in this performance or daily gain test be early sexual maturing or late maturing? Well, due to the way they measure daily gain and conversion efficiency, those are precisely selecting animals with late sexual maturity. Now, will their daughters have enough fat in early marbling on grass alone to be successful under real-life conditions? Or will they be like those males in those poorly designed test trials and need higher quality nutrition and more time to reach sexual maturity? It is obvious that by selecting animals that do not deposit fat early in life and that are slow to mature, they are selecting animals with increasing height or frame score and late sexual maturity, the exact opposite of what is needed for our females in a real-life situation to be successful. Conclusion and review. Number 1, the performance test of daily gains as actually done suffer from poor planning and poor measurements. 2, the type of daughters that these males are going to produce do not fit what we need for an efficient and profitable grazing operation. 3, fat is necessary for the immune system, real-life fertility in the field, resistance or adaptation to difficult environments, and grass-fed fat is also very healthy for the consumer. 4, we must design new selection guidelines to select our males so that their daughters inherit those characteristics of survival and adaptation without losing sight of conversion efficiency and daily gain, but with correct measurements that do not contradict nature. 5, doing this correctly will allow us to improve our genetics and be able to greatly increase our profitability and pasture productivity by applying the Total Grazing program on our farms. Well, I hope you like this podcast and you can put it into practice. Thank you, and until next time, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. You can also join us for the weekly email at www.rwranching.com/join. You can fill the form there and we will contact you. Have a great day.